All right, everyone, thank you for joining us for the last session of day 3 of gCon. This is our second breakout session of the day, and we've got an awesome presentation from Adam Clark of Zendesk. I'm going to introduce him in just a couple of minutes, but just like before, I want to go over a couple of housekeeping notes before we get started. So first of all, like our other breakout sessions, we're going to be doing questions in the gCon Google Plus community. So if you haven't already joined that community, you can find a link to that in the Showcase app in just a few minutes, or you can just search inside of Google Plus for gCon, and you should be able to find it. So Adam will hang out in the Google Plus community for about 30 minutes to answer any questions about Zendesk that you might have, and then we'll take it from there. I also wanted to mention that to register for the free giveaways like the Samsung Chromebook 2 and the gCon t-shirt that everybody really wants, I would just remind you to stick around until the end of the presentation to fill out the form. It'll take 2 seconds to fill out, and it'll help us send over that the information to claim your t-shirt and put you in the running for the Samsung Chromebook 2. Just want to make sure that I have everything covered for right now. I think that's everything. So I want to go ahead and, like I said, introduce Adam Clark of Zendesk. He's got a great presentation for us about Zendesk and how IT is pulling support out of the basement and really changing the nature of support in today's world. So Adam, if you want to go ahead and take it away, you can go ahead and start your presentation.
Okay, great. Thanks, Andrew. Excited to be here. So I'm Director of Sales for our IT and Employee Services practice. So really, we're known as a customer service platform, but more and more modern IT organizations and different departments across the enterprise are using us to really provide a better quality of service, both internal to employees as well as customers. So what I wanted to do today is start off by first talking a little bit about Zendesk for those who aren't familiar with it, talk a little bit about how we integrate currently with some of the Google apps and what are some of the extensions that you can do if you are Google app developers and want to build extensions on Zendesk platform itself, and then show some of the product as well. So with that, let's go ahead and get started with the presentation. Okay, so for those that aren't familiar with Zendesk, we've been around since 2007. We are a public company, and we have more than 45,000 customers globally, and those range from very small businesses to large Fortune 100 customers. And Zendesk was really started to bring both organizations internally as well as the customers they serve closer together, and do that in a much easier way, a much more modern way that's been done in the past. And part of the reason for that is that the customer service paradigm's really changed. It used to be when you did customer service, it was between the business and that customer. And now it's not just between the two parties. Now it's much more amplified with the notion of social networks. If there's a bad customer experience, it can be broadcast across the country, across the world, and customers are much more informed. So they have this amplified voice that they haven't had before, so customer service is more important than ever. And that same need in customer service is really bled into end user expectations. So, you know, people expect things much more instant. They want transparency into their requests, how fast they're going to be fulfilled. It's much more personalized than it has been in the past, where they're gathering information about the person themselves. And it's really used everywhere, whether it's mobile, whether it's phone, whether it's any location. And those end user expectations have transitioned not just from a consumer perspective, but internal across all the organizations. So where it may have started with an initial support issue, we really see it go not just to the customer support organization. Oftentimes these requests go to IT, they may go to engineering. You may have partners that support part of your products that need to go to a partner for support. And whether that's a support issue or potentially a new hire or benefits issue that you have with HR, or even a new product launch that may be done and initiated through products and engineering and marketing, everyone is really a customer of some other organization. transparency. They're looking for a better way to interact versus email. And that's really where we're uniquely positioned to do that because of our history in customer service. So, our goal is really to be the next generation of a beautifully simple service platform. It was built from the beginning to be in the cloud. It wasn't an on-premise solution that was moved to the cloud. It's meant to be a solution that can very easily be stood up in a matter of hours. It's something that is customizable and configurable by customers. Most of our customers, a large majority of our customers, actually completely self-provision. So similar to a lot of the experience with the Google applications, you don't need to be a developer to use them. You don't need to be a developer to configure them and extend them. So that's part of what I'll show today when we get into the product, is just how easy it is to use. And the goal is to make things simple, not to solve every edge case imaginable, to provide a really easy platform to use and then allow people to extend it as needed through some of our apps and partnerships. So along those lines, as I mentioned, really from the beginning we were built to be in the cloud, and this includes being channel agnostic. So whether that's somebody posting something on Facebook or Twitter that you want to automatically create a ticket based on, whether that's chat and email, or whether that's someone joining through laptop or mobile, we have native apps for Android, for iOS devices, and really allow you to both submit tickets as well as, from an agent perspective, those fulfilling those requests and those problems that may be coming in, to work from anywhere and on any device. And then along the way, we have a very significant business intelligence tool built into our platform that allows you to get insights around the types of requests, and so you can continuously improve. And we also include our own benchmarking, because of the 45,000 customers we have, they can opt in to anonymize their data and use that for benchmarking, so you can see how you're doing against other people in your same industry or using it for the same purpose as you. And that's something that a lot of our customers that maybe don't have a baseline or are starting from scratch use to measure themselves across other organizations. So as I mentioned, from the beginning, we were really built from a platform perspective to be extensible, but across a few main areas. The first one is more traditional support. So whether that be an internal end user requesting IT support, whether that be a customer that has a customer issue, it's how do we provide support, how do we provide the workflow, the SLAs, and the automation behind it to make that a better experience for the end user in mind first, but also for the agents or people that may be working it. So that includes very configurable and customizable workflow, both based on events that may be in the tickets themselves, as well as a time factor, for example, if you want to escalate certain issues after a certain amount of time. We also come with a complete self-service knowledge base and community portal. So one of the ways to reduce the ticket volume is to allow people to serve themselves, and that includes, being able to search knowledge bases, get the answers to their questions themselves, and deflect as many of the incoming requests as possible. And more customers generally have a better level of satisfaction if they can help themselves. And then the last one just really talks about getting proactive. So traditionally, support systems have been very reactive and completely driven by the customer request. But because we're gathering some intelligence around the behavior of people submitting these requests, because we have tools like chat that can be initiated proactively if somebody is struggling or on a portion of your website for too long a period of time, that allows us, through a combination of those and some of our CSAT functionality, to really get proactive with the end users and engage them proactively versus only responding to requests. And then from a platform perspective, we were really built to be an API-first company, which I'll talk about more. But that allows us to work with companies like Google to plug in tools like the Hangouts and use single sign-on through the Google Apps framework. And we have over 200 apps in our app marketplace. So that allows us to have a very broad developer ecosystem. So I'll talk about it a little bit in the when we get into the presentation and show you some of the apps. You can also see from the links on the right side of the page that links to the developer portal. That gives you all the information, whether it's interacting through some sort of data through our REST API, or whether it's actually building out an app that's available in our marketplace. And today I'll be talking about a couple specifically related to Google, obviously, mostly from a single sign-on in a Google Hangouts that allows you to interact with other agents in the same way you would from a Google Hangout perspective. So with that, I wanted to show a little bit of the product and then get back into some of the other extensions that have been done specifically with the Google framework. So let's go ahead and get into the demo. All right, so what I thought I'd start from is really the front-end interface. And so we do come with a help center that's completely customizable, and I'll show you some different examples of that. And this is where you would go to potentially search through potential questions that you have through the different help sections, or you can also search, for example, if you're looking to order a new device or a laptop, you can see what's available in the current help center, get answers to your frequently asked questions or articles, and even be directed potentially to the appropriate form to order that information so you can submit that request. So this comes with Zendesk out of the box. It's configurable, can be completely skinned to your environment, and we actually have as some examples a Pinterest site that shows all the different custom branded Zendesk across many of our customers. So you can use this for getting different ideas on how you would set up your own internal help center, and you can see they're both, from an IT perspective as well as a customer service perspective. Many of our thousands of customers have posted their version of their help center on here for some ideas. Now, any of these requests can be submitted through a web form. It can also be submitted through something as simple as an email where they may have forgotten their password, and I'm going to go ahead and submit that. And then what will happen is upon submitting these requests, that'll go ahead and get pushed to the main help, the agent interface, which I'll jump over to next. And whether that comes through an email channel, whether that comes through a web request form, all of the people that submit those requests will get a response directly from Zendesk saying, I've received your response, it's being reviewed by the staff, and then any other comments that you put in here, they only have to interact through the email. So you can say, hurry up, please. And then this will all be fed into the agent interface, and they'll see all these comments in a standard conversation stream. Now, if I hop over to the agent interface, the help desk that I talked about can be customized. You can say, I want to customize this design. We have a variety of different themes that come out of the box. So if you want to change these themes, you can see what they look like. You can also get full access to the CSS. So if you want to change the footers and headers to match your internal website or intranet, or even your external facing site for customer service, that can also be done through the customization, and you have direct access to the code. So now what I'll do is we've submitted some requests, and what I want to do now is I want to go ahead and focus on the agent interface from an IT perspective. So I just logged in as an admin, and at first you're presented with a dashboard that has all the outstanding issues that have been sent in recently that may require your attention. You can sort this in whatever way. These views are completely customizable. If I go over to the main views and look at what new tickets have been received in, I see this recent one that was just sent a minute ago about forgetting the password. So I can click on this, and what this will take me to is a screen that will show a few different things. One, this person has a problem with the password. I can change the default form if I want to put in more information about that individual user. I can also click on that person's name, and that will show me other tickets that they've submitted recently that I may want to work at the same time. So you can see the full ticket history of that person, also if they've searched any help center articles. So it really just gives you more details about the person, also which group they belong to. If they're an executive of the company, you can assign VIP tags to them. So this gives you a little bit more information about the user as you begin to work on the ticket. So as I go back to the forgot my password ticket, I can also respond very quickly. So the goal is to make agents to respond by adding a series of macros. So in this case, this allows us to very quickly put in a dynamic response into the ticket. In this case, I've responded to Aaron Clark. I've put his name dynamically in there. I've given him the information to reset his password by himself. I've assigned it to myself. I've tagged it as a password reset so that we can do reporting to see how many people are having problems with password resets. And I've also submitted this as solved. So I've automatically closed this ticket because I've sent the person the information they need to service themselves. Now, if they have any problems along the way, they can reply to that original email. It will open the ticket back up, and I can continue to service them. But this allows you to very quickly respond to those individuals. Now, if I look at another ticket from that person, for example, a request for a new laptop as well from that person, I'm going to see a few things here that I didn't talk about before. So one is I've submitted a new laptop. If I did have a question, maybe for that person's manager or another agent that maybe is servicing whether or not they have new laptops available, I can actually, through this apps pane, I have integrations to a variety of different apps. In this case, we're using Google Hangouts for agent-to-agent communication. So I can start a Hangout right from this spot and determine if I want to service that person if I have questions about what their individual laptop is. So in this case, I can go ahead and say I want to set up a Hangout with one or more people. I can potentially talk to Aaron specifically and go ahead and start that Google Hangout, and that'll start that communication between myself and that other agent. So these apps are all available in our marketplace. So I included a link to the marketplace in the links page on the right. Like I said, there's well over 200. The Google Hangouts is one of them, but you can also build your own. There's a number that we build through Zendesk Labs, but a number of our customers have also decided if you did want to integrate Zendesk, for example, maybe with a Google calendaring system for scheduled changes or outage windows. So there's a variety of different ways that you can add that. Another common example is, in this case, they're having trouble with email. I can tag this as a incident and even associate this to a problem. If I look at this case, someone's having problems accessing email, and I can see from an announcements perspective that there's currently an email server down. So I can search for other problems that may be out there. In this case, it says attach it to problem 128. Attach that to the email server outage, submit this as new, and now I have attached that individual incident to a problem ticket. And so it says here now that this is linked to problem 128. I can log in and see that there's currently an email server outage. We see some notes that the server may need to be rebooted, and we can see all the incidents that are tied to that. So this allows you as an IT organization, if you have a Wi-Fi issue in a particular location, email problem, and you're getting a lot of requests at once, you can assign those all as incidents and then relate them to one problem. And then what happens is when I would say go to solve this problem ticket, it will also detect that there's a number of linked incidents to this problem and ask if I want to also solve all those linked incidents. And what this allows you to do is whatever notes you put into the problem ticket around resolution and the fact that it's back up and running, it'll automatically send those to all those other people that submitted that they were having problems with email or they were having problems accessing a website, and solve those tickets as well. So it allows you to very quickly resolve all those individual tickets that are out there in a quick way. Okay, so all these views that you see here, as well as the rules for who gets assigned what the workflow is, all that is completely configurable. So if I, as an end user, wanted to see and customize this view, I can go ahead and edit this. This is all open incidents, and you'll see this very similar interface when I talk about the triggers as well. All the views that you see here are determined by a set of conditions. In this case, the status is less than solved, and the type is an incident. I could also, if I wanted this to be just my view, add another condition about who the assignee is, that the assignee is Adam Clark, and begin to create essentially my own views that I use to work the queues very quickly. You can decide which fields are included on that, which order to sort them. Maybe I want to sort this by priority or score. In this case, I'll do priority. And then if I go ahead and save this, this would have tickets that are assigned only to myself rather than everybody. So any views that you see here, as well as the rules behind who things get assigned to and the workflow, is all completely configurable, not customizable. It's all done through a very similar interface. The same thing is true for all the forms. So if I go back over to my end user interface, you see that I had a series of forms here that I can choose from, whether it's requesting new software or hardware. And in these forms, you can decide if they're going to be dynamic. For example, if I choose desktop or laptop, it's going to give me the different types of devices that I support. I may want the Google Chromebook, or I may choose mobile phone. It's going to give me a completely different list to say I want the Samsung Galaxy S5, for example. So all these forms that you create, the number of different forms and the fields on those forms are configurable as well. So if I go to ticket forms, for example, and look at that specific hardware form that I was just looking at, I can see the current fields that are available. I do have some fields that are not available to the end user. So these are often used for things like approvals. If you have certain fields that you won't want the users to see because maybe they're too technical or you don't want them to be able to submit that type of information, only an agent can configure it. All that can be defined as what's required, what's visible, what's editable, and who sees it. And it's as easy as adding a new field, and for example, if I wanted to drag in a root cause, to just drag this field in and then publish this form, and that will all be saved and then available next time a user logs into the system. So the whole goal here is to have a system, in many cases, that's replacing email or a legacy system that's in place that is too difficult to very quickly create tickets, respond to users, or allow for self-service. And you know, the third piece that I'll talk about, we have to start with the end user in mind, then making things easier for the agent, and then it's really how do you monitor, track, and improve over time. So if I go over to look at the reporting side of this, we do have a product that's called Insights that really takes a lot of this information and shows it from a dashboard perspective on how you can help improve, whether that's related to customer satisfaction, trying to improve first reply time, looking at the backlog of tickets and making sure things are properly assigned. We come out of the box with a standard set of dashboards that have some best practices around the metrics that should be monitored and tracked. So in this case, I'll just go through a few of these. This is looking at the customer satisfaction. So one of the things that we do and provide natively is the ability, whenever a ticket is solved, to send out a proactive customer survey afterwards. And it's a very simple up or down, did you have a good experience or not? And what we found is that providing a simple survey like that gets a dramatically higher response rate than a more complete survey with multiple questions, and it really allows you to determine how good you're doing and which areas of improvement. And we track that by agent, we can track that by type of request, so you can begin to see, are there certain types of requests that we need to put in the knowledge base? Are we maybe having problems with password resets and people aren't happy with it, so we need to create an automated way for people to reset their own password? You can begin to track that type of information. It's also going to keep track of backlog, so you can see, are you improving the backlog over time? You know, how many new tickets are coming in? Are you working your backlog? Is the backlog being caused by new tickets or old tickets? And look at, you know, how many end users have been added. So is the increase in tickets based on the number of users, or are you experiencing more problems? And we allow you to tag tickets as well. So any ticket or issue can be tagged, and then you can track whether or not there's an increase in certain types of issues over time. So that's kind of a high level, but we also look at other things around efficiency. So these can be efficiencies related to agents. For example, how many tickets were able to be solved from a one-touch perspective? Do they often need reassigned? So if you see a high number of tickets being reassigned, you may need to enhance your workflow rules to associate those to the right person the first time versus going to the wrong person. They investigate it, reassign it. All that takes time, and the longer it takes time to respond back, or the longer it takes the number of interactions that take with the customer, typically the satisfaction goes down. And then the last one I'll talk about is just related to agent activity in particular. So you can get very granular on particular agents, look at satisfaction, and then this one here actually breaks down of those ones that were solved or reassigned. You can even look at that by individual agent. So if you have a level 2 and level 1 support staff, and you see that level 1 is consistently reassigning to level 2 certain types of issues, then you can edit the approvals workflows for how those get routed, or you may need to do more training for your level 1 support team so they can handle those types of issues going forward. So that's a very high-level overview of the insights and dashboards, but it is a key part of the product to make sure that our customers can improve over time and identify areas where there may be problems. Okay, the last thing I'll talk about is the apps marketplace. So from a marketplace perspective, right within the admin, we have, like I said, over 200 apps broken down by the different categories. Depending on what issues and use cases you're supporting, whether you're using this really to be a customer service platform where you're implementing for the first time, or maybe you're replacing an existing IT service management system that is just really overly complicated and not easily to customize. We have a number of different apps that can be plugged into those systems, whether it's use tools for remote sharing and remote call to the desktops, asset management, advanced change management, remote assistance, PagerDuty for off hours notification directly from the tickets. We have a number of apps that are there, and we continue to expand that. One of the ways we do that I wanted to talk about before I wrap up the presentation is, I don't know how many different Google app developers might be attending the session today, but I definitely think there's some more opportunities for us to integrate with Google even stronger. So one of the common ones that we get asked about that I mentioned earlier was the Google calendaring. So as you do have a ticket that comes in and needs to be assigned to a person, we have the notion of a task that you can assign that to, but then take the date and time and integrate that with Google calendaring. Same thing is true for things like Google Drive. As you have requests that come in that may be stored in your internal knowledge base, we do have integrations with tools like Box, but Google Drive would be another excellent app that we could use to really partner in conjunction with Zendesk. And you can get really creative with this. For example, in a recent hackathon that we did internally to Zendesk, what they did is really just had some of the same capabilities that you saw in Zendesk around being able to solve a ticket, mark it, apply it, but with the Gmail interface. So that allows people that are comfortable working in email to continue working in email, but solve tickets just like they would in Zendesk. So let me just start this brief video and show an example of, here's a ticket that's come in, that's being worked. You can hit reply. And what you'll see is, as part of the Chrome extension that they built out, is you have the same assignee fields. You can set the type, the incident, problem, just like I showed in the previous one, and the priority, and submit this just like you would as if you were in Zendesk interface. And so you go ahead and submit that, and you can see that that information is going to be populated into the Zendesk. It's now a solved ticket, and you can see that the response from that user. So you can get really creative about the different ways that you can integrate and build out and extend the platform, whether that's integrating and building it with existing Gmail that people may be more comfortable using, or building a full-fledged app like you saw in the apps pane while I was in the Zendesk interface. So I'm just about at time. What we'll do is follow up on this session with questions here for the next 30 minutes. But as a very brief overview, the key there is that we're really a next generation customer service platform that can be used really for any organization, whether that be HR benefits request, IT that's servicing end users, or really where we started, which was a customer service platform that provides a much better experience, cleaner experience for your customers. So with that, I'll go ahead and wrap up, and I'll see everyone in the questions section.
All right, thanks a lot, Adam. Yeah, like Adam mentioned, he's going to be in the gCon Google Plus community to answer any questions that you may have about Zendesk. So please stop by. Adam, would you mind muting for a second when we wrap up? Thank you. So Adam's going to be in the gCon Google Plus community for the next 30 minutes to answer any questions that you may have. If you haven't noticed already, the attendance and giveaway form is up in the Showcase app section on the right-hand side of your screen. So please take a moment to fill that out so you can get eligible to get your free T-shirt and enter to win a Samsung Chromebook 2. So that's on the right-hand side of the screen, the Showcase app. I'd also like to shamelessly plug my keynote presentation for tomorrow. So that'll be the last keynote presentation of gCon. So if you have time tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, I'll be doing a keynote presentation on how to hate your Gmail inbox just a little bit less. So this is a presentation for end users as well as admins. So I'm going to talk about organizing your inbox, automating it, and then some tools for admins to kind of enable users to be more productive in Gmail. So that is that's a keynote presentation for tomorrow. And we also have 2 breakout sessions tomorrow scheduled as well to wrap up the week. We have a breakout session on Gmail and Google Apps encryption with Virtru, and then another presentation from Insightly about how to make your customers your BFF. So 2 great breakout presentations, then of course a fantastic keynote presentation tomorrow from me. So I hope to see all of you there, and I'd like to just take a minute to thank Adam for stopping by and putting together a great presentation. So Adam, thank you very much for joining us. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and sign off for the day. So thanks everyone for joining us, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks, Andrew.